Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, let's dive into something that's, well, absolutely critical for any organization running on an IBM iSeries: data security. More specifically, we're going to explore how a tool like SpoolIt, that's SpoolIt, builds these multiple layers of protection for your most sensitive documents.
Just think about it for a second. We're talking about everything from your financial reports to customer invoices. This information flowing through your iSeries is literally the lifeblood of your business. So the big question is, how can you be sure it's actually secure from the moment it's created all the way to when it's distributed?
At the very heart of this whole thing is something called the spooled file. Think of it like a temporary holding pan for any output your system generates. Whether that's a report about to be printed or some data getting ready for an email, it starts its life as a spooled file. So locking this down, that's ground zero.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to build out this idea of a digital fortress, layer by layer. We'll start with the data challenge on the iSeries itself. Then we'll cover securing data in transit, how we use the native iSeries controls, what happens with workstation protection, and finally, the secure archive. It's all about building that fortress for your data.
Okay, so first up, the iSeries data challenge. What's the big deal here? Well, the main challenge is that these spooled files are constantly popping up, getting moved around, and being accessed by different people. And every single one of those actions, that's a potential weak spot if you're not careful. And that's where this whole digital fortress idea really comes into play. It's a perfect way to think about a defense-in-depth strategy, right? You've got your perimeter, which is all about securing data in transit. Then there's the gatekeeper, which uses the built-in iSeries controls. Inside the walls, you have your internal workstation security. And at the very core, the vault. That's your archive security. Each layer is totally different, but absolutely essential. All right, let's start with layer one, securing data in transit. We're going to begin at the perimeter. Protecting data when it's actually moving between your iSeries and whoever needs to see it. This is probably where your data is at its most vulnerable, which is why it's got to be our first line of defense. And wow, this slide just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, you have standard FTP, and let's be honest, it's basically sending your data out in plain text. Anybody could potentially grab it. But on the other hand, SpoolIt uses FTP with SSL. What that means is the data is encrypted. The whole communication session is private and secure. It's not just an upgrade, it's a complete game changer for security.
Okay, moving inward to layer 2, we're talking about honoring the native iSeries controls. You see, the smartest security solutions don't try to replace what's already working. They build on it. And SpoolIt is designed from the ground up to work with the incredible security that's already built right into the IBM iSeries.
And this is so important. SpoolIt is not some kind of backdoor. It doesn't create a security hole. It works completely within the user profile security you've already spent time setting up. So if a user isn't supposed to see a certain output queue, SpoolIt won't let them. It respects all your private authorities, your authorization lists, and even special authorities like SPL-CTL, which of course stands for spool control. It simply enforces the rules you've already made.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at this quote directly from IBM's own documentation. It really drives the point home. It shows just how vital these native authorities are. SpoolIt gets this. It understands this whole ecosystem and makes sure that those really high-level permissions, the powerful ones like SAVSys or AllOBJ, are always honored. This keeps the integrity of your entire security model intact.
All right, let's get to layer 3, workstation-level security. So think about what we've done. We've secured the data as it flies from the server. We've made sure the server-side permissions are followed to the letter. But what happens when that file actually lands on someone's PC?
Right, because security can't just stop at the server. The fortress needs guards inside the walls, not just at the gate. And that's what SpoolIt does. It extends that protection right down to the PC level. This gives you control over what a user can actually do with the report once it's on their machine. Maybe you want to stop them from saving it locally, or printing it, or forwarding it in an email. SpoolIt gives you that granular control, which is just another crucial layer.
And that brings us to our final layer, layer 4, the secure archive. This is the vaults. Protecting data that's being used right now is one challenge. But what about all that data you have to keep for the long haul? For compliance, for record keeping? That data has to be just as secure when it's just sitting there at rest.
And that is exactly what SpoolIt's archive-level security is all about. It gives you this secure, centralized vault for all your documents, so you can be confident that years from now, those archived reports are just as protected as the ones you ran 5 minutes ago. It's a huge piece of the puzzle for both security and compliance. Okay,
Let's step back and look at the big picture. A fortress for your data. When you put all four of these layers together, you're not just looking at a list of features anymore. What you have is a complete, comprehensive security strategy for every single document on your iSeries.
And there you have it, your complete digital fortress, built with Spool-It. You've got encrypted transit guarding the perimeter. You have the native iSeries profiles acting as the tough-as-nails gatekeeper. You've got workstation controls as your internal security guards. And finally, the secure archive as your untouchable central vault. It's the definition of a defense-in-depth approach.
So, that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. When you have your iSeries data protected at every single one of these layers, what happens? Well, security stops being this thing you have to constantly worry about, this barrier, and it becomes an enabler. With a fortress this solid, you're suddenly free to automate processes, distribute information, and innovate with total confidence. So the real question isn't about security anymore. It's, what new efficiencies are you going to unlock?